All right. Welcome to day 11 update for the Anthony T.T. Jordan trial. Once again, I have to apologize for irresponsible journalism and not meeting deadlines. As last night we did our podcast, as many of you know, we tape on Thursday nights or record. But last night we did the first, we were practicing going live, and it worked, and we did go live on YouTube and Facebook, and it was just practice, so we didn't put it out there, but we did have some people join us. But to set all that up, it took our producer, Jack, quite some time to get all the cameras ready, get all the feeds out. So within that time, some of our visitors had bought us shots, and then that was going on, and then one of our prospective sponsors, which is a dispensary, came by. And let's say that was the moment I realized that I probably was not going to get this update out last night. So here I sit at 7:15 in the morning and getting this update out to you guys. I really appreciate the support. Again, apologize for my lack of responsibility in getting this out to you guys. I know a lot of you guys really enjoy this, and I enjoy the fact that you enjoy it. So thank you for that. So the testimony today was Eric Lanham was on the stand. But before we get to that, this is winding down. They're going to be doing closings today, which is Friday morning. I'm not going to go to the closings. What you're going to hear today and what you've heard in the last 10 updates is going to be closing. The prosecution is going to lay out their case again. The defense is going to lay out the defense that they've always been laying out. And they're going to do 90 minutes each of that. And then before that's going to be jury instructions. First thing this morning, 9:30 will be jury instructions, and they each get 90 minutes. Then it'll go to the jury. And when the next update that you get from me is the verdict with Bill McDonough, who was the one of the supervisors in intelligence when all this went down. And we're going to just take a little deeper dive into some of the things that were going on at the time and what actually led to all this. And I think you guys will find that interesting. So stay tuned for that. And so tomorrow I'm going to put out a little story that I think you guys will like too. It involves Chief Joe Speece from Brentwood and how he arrested a guy back in the day. And when he got out of prison, Joe got him a job. And you'll hear about the investigation that led to him getting arrested and the story about how he got a job when he got out. So, he was a pretty high level drug dealer at the time. It was up near Academy Courts. But it was a neat story and kind of gives you the, again, humanizing police officers and we're just not all bad guys. And so it's a neat story, and that'll be out tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. And if you want to, when we go live on Thursdays, obviously those who subscribe on YouTube, if you hit that little bell, you get a notification. You can throw your little barbs at us through texting or writing or comments and whatnot. So we got thick skin, so we think it's going to be fun. We had fun last night. So again, tune in tomorrow for that Speece thing. Join us live. We'll be putting stuff out every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays now. So stay tuned for all that. And again, appreciate all the support, like, subscribe, and share. So starting the day, Eric Lanham was on yesterday still from the day before. And the first thing they went through was the Department of Correction records of Man and on his books of people who were putting money on his books. And Jason Smith on 4 different occasions put in $300, another $300, another $400, and another $300. That was over a couple months. And we'll get to the Jason Smith thing in a little bit, but they went over that, how he was getting money put on his books. And then they went to some of the phone searches that was done through this phone. They're obviously claiming this phone is TT's. There was no argument that it wasn't. One of the searches was feds got one that can get your number. Don't know exactly what that meant. And then there was another one that feds can get your phone number by riding by your car. Again, those are searches. And then right around the time Antonio Washington gets locked up, he does a VineLink search. And VineLink searches are for, you can go through it for federal cases, and you can look up different court cases. And that was the day after the search warrant up on all the 3 search warrants on Sacramento and whatnot. And he did 4 searches relative to that. Then they did a search for involuntary protective custody, a search for federal involuntary protective custody, did a search for the Bureau of Prison federal inmates by number and by name for Antonio Washington. Then there was a text message they went through. He got a text from an unknown number. They didn't identify who it was from. The guy had to get his car fixed, and and then Anthony TT texted him back and says, I go to Mako on Lindbergh. We've heard the Mako stuff. And then they got into some of the photos that were in the phone. And there was a photo of Anthony Blinky Clark. There was screenshot photos of, so I'm guessing what happened was when Dante would get information, he would take a picture of it on the computer and send that picture and send that screenshot to Gloria. And then Gloria would then send it to TT. Or that's the assertion. And so there was a photo of Anthony Blinky Clark, photos of Yellow Mac, which is Mikhail Gridiron. Screenshot of Terrell Beasley with a booking photo. There was a printout of like an arrest record that showed that Dominic D.D. Irons was in jail for a couple years. And then they got another photo of Charles Thompson's inmate number, man's inmate number. I'm guessing that number was used to put money on his books. I'm guessing that's the assertion there. And there would be something a little later more about the Department of Corrections putting that stuff on the books. But there was also pictures of AR-15s with extended magazines, and there was numerous pictures of those. But some of them, the pictures was he would hold it with one hand, and you'd be looking down the barrel for the picture, and you could see a tattoo on the other hand. And in several of those pictures, you could see the tattoo, and the tattoo matches the tattoo that TT has. So there was numerous pictures of guns, selfies, kind of, pictures with him holding the guns. There was guns with lasers, and a lot of the guns that he was holding are the guns that were on that pool table in his in the search warrant up on West Sacramento. Where the like 12 or 15 guns. A lot of those guns were in those pictures that he was taking too. And it because a lot of times when you do the search warrants is people will bring stuff to a pool, because they had a picture of all these guns on the pool table on the search warrant. Well, a lot of times you put that all together is just to take a picture of the evidence, but apparently that's where a lot of this stuff was, because in his pictures, it was all over the pool table too. And I just brought that together with these pictures. And again, they made a big, there's an underlying thing that he's left-handed, and they stipulated all that he's left-handed. I think that was from some other testimony. Drum magazine was in some of the pictures. The high capacity magazines were in the pictures. There's pictures of Anthony Anderson Spree, Dee Head, numerous screenshots from Spree and Dee Head from social media were on his phone. Another picture of Anthony Washington, and then there was a picture of Jason Smith. So that was the person putting the. I'm sorry, it wasn't a picture, but that Jason Smith was the person putting that. Those were what I talked about earlier. The money on the books, the 300, the 300, 400, the 300. Well, he has a picture of a Facebook from Jason Smith with an email on it. And apparently you need an email to put some money on somebody's books. So again, that's the assertion. More VineLink screenshots from Antonio Washington. they had like 5 different Antonio Washingtons with the birthday. So I was thinking they were trying to figure out if one of the Antonio Washingtons was him or not. They had a picture of TT with money. Numerous, like I said, the tattoos were pictures of the house on Salisbury that was that Anthony Anderson, where they thought he was. They had a picture of that house, was on the phone. A picture of his driver's license. He took a picture of his driver's license for some unknown reason. And there was a screenshot of Montez Woods on his phone. And Montez, he's the person that I guess you can attribute. That was the first shooting that started all this stuff, and up on Grove, I think. Yeah. So that was Montez was another picture in there. Ebony Whittier, who was Mikhail Gridiron's girlfriend, she had her photo was in there. And then they had a photo of Anthony Anderson with a text saying, "That's him," with like a question mark. He had a picture of himself of TT with a mask and glove on. Had a picture of that. And then they had a screenshot of a weapons collector, a guns show schedule, because there's testimony that they would go to gun shows to get rid of these guns with old fat white guy from the boot heel. I think his name was Santa Claus, but I'm not mistaken on that. That's what they called him. But and then they had the screenshot of the KMOV news. So you get the news on your phone, and he took a screenshot of the Blinky murder photos that KMOV was on. And there was testimony, I believe, by Derek Terry that said he showed him that picture. And he's like, "You gotta get rid of that, dude." But apparently he didn't. And there was pics of the Blinky one, and there was also another the bullets on the windshield. That was one of the pics. And then there was another KMOV website one where he took screenshots of the story, and that was the one where the vehicle, it had the picture of the vehicle that Parker G was in, and where Clara Walker, the very innocent lady that got killed inside there, but didn't have a picture of that, but had the picture of the vehicle on that incident in the phone there. And then it ended with this text. On the day of the search warrants, he gets a text saying, "Are you okay? Something's going on Sacramento." And then the next day, I think he texts back and says, "I'm cool. I just got to do what I got to do and stand up like the man I am." And then he texts that same person again, "I love you. If I don't see you, I finna be in prison." And then they ended Lanham's testimony with that. And then the cross didn't say anything about the phone. They went back to the triple murder where Crybaby was killed. And I think they're just trying to say that I guess that's the one they're trying to hone in on, that there was some. But I didn't understand. Again, they went to that on Lanham, because Lanham never testified anything about the triple murder, but they went back to that triple murder. And yeah, that was about it. I didn't really understand the cross on that. They couldn't cross really anything on the phone, because the phone's the phone. I mean, it does its own testimony. But here's the three. And then the defense went on and they did 3 witnesses. And so the first witness they had come on was Ron Martin, and he was the officer that typed up the original search warrant on where they got the information on Cryberry, and they locked up little Greg on that across the street from TT's house. And Martin testified that Crybaby was scared of Red and Stank, never mentioned TT. So I think they're just trying to put alternative people who else might have shot all these people. And then they put on a guy by the name of Mark Tenholder. And Mark is the manager of the St. Charles Convention Center, where they hold these gun shows. And he was saying, well, we didn't have a gun show after the McCall, I think it was February of 2014, where right after the McCall murder, they said they went and traded some shows or traded some guns. And they said, and the testimony was that was at the St. Charles Convention Center. Well, there was no thing there that night, but on January 24th, there was a gun show on St. Charles Rock Road. So again, details. And then a U.S. probation supervisor who they allowed him not to say his name, testified that Derek Terry was allowed to take his ankle bracelet off on June 24th, and he returned it on 2013, and he returned it to the office. And then the next day is when Blinky was killed. So I don't exactly know where they were going with that. And then they stipulated that Jordan was left-handed. So, and that was the end of their cross or their defense. And, like I said, when they go to close this thing, you just know it's going to be the defense or the prosecution is going to lay out what I've told you over the last 10 episodes. And the defense is going to say, never touch the dope. And they were throwing out alternative things and the DNA, they're going to hone in on the DNA wasn't on any, or a lot of the stuff, and then some of the stuff it was. So, and then they're going to discredit or attempt to discredit all the cooperating defendants, with inconsistent statements, stuff like that. So, I wish I could, if people will be, oh, you got to go to the closing, you got to go. It's just going to be so boring. I could, write on the crossboard, it'd be like you're going to grade school, writing on the chalkboard. There was no DNA 150 times, or there was no dope for the defense. And then the prosecution is just going to go over that case again. And again, I think that's good for the jurors, just for because the jurors, this is, what are we into, the third week or the end of the second? Yeah, third week. So yeah, the jurors, it's really good for them as they get to go back to hear from both of these people, or both the prosecution and the defense. So again, when the verdict comes back, I'm taping with Bill later on this afternoon. When the verdict comes back, we'll talk about the verdict a little bit, and then we'll go into a little deeper dive of all the stuff that was going on during all this. So tune in tomorrow for Joe Speece's little story. Tune in Monday for our podcast, and it was live, and it was fun. Look forward to going live next Thursday and having more interaction with everybody. Like I said, we got thick skin. We're all right. As long as you don't get too mean, we're all right. But have a great weekend. Like, subscribe, and share. Peace.